that Iran has made perfectly clear for 20 years. And I had discussions today with a senior Iranian diplomat. They don't want atomic bombs. They don't want the burdens of them. They do not want to make themselves a target of nuclear war in that way. They do not want them, but they do not want to be overthrown by Israel's murderous government. And that is a problem. And last week was an attempt by the Israeli government, which is a rogue state, the most dangerous on the entire planet, to kill the Iranian leadership. Not only the supreme leader, but government officials as well. They succeeded in many murders, but they did not succeed in the regime change operation. Then came this U.S. bombing of these sites. It did not change anything, in my view, in the nuclear calculation, but it made everything far worse in terms of the potential. When I say didn't change anything, it didn't change anything in terms of Iran's capacity to produce atomic bombs, or, by the way, to obtain them from others. All it did was make the situation far more dangerous, because now there is no inspection taking place. The Iranians know without question that they were targeted in a very deadly regime change operation. They know that the United States was party to it. They know that European countries are basically vassal states of the United States, so won't say one word on their own. So they know that they were targeted for assassinations and regime change. That does not make the situation safer today than last week. It makes everything far more reckless and dangerous.
You just heard Dr. Jeffrey Sachs, economist, Columbia professor, and one of the few voices inside the American elite willing to speak truth about U.S. foreign policy, deliver a blunt message. Iran doesn't want atomic bombs. What they want is to survive. And yet, what did Israel and the U.S. do? They tried to assassinate Iranian leadership, bomb nuclear sites, and push Iran into a corner, all under the guise of preventing nuclear proliferation. Let's break down what Sachs said, and why this latest escalation may have just brought us closer to war than ever before. Sachs starts with an important fact that most Western media ignores. Iran has made perfectly clear for 20 years they don't want atomic bombs. He even says he spoke directly with a senior Iranian diplomat, who confirmed no interest in nuclear weapons, no intention to build them, a full understanding of the dangers involved. That's not just opinion. That's based on real diplomatic engagement. But Washington and Tel Aviv don't care about facts. They only care about justifying regime change. Sachs pulls no punches. Last week was an attempt by the Israeli government, a rogue state, the most dangerous on the planet, to kill the Iranian leadership. That's a bold statement, but it's also accurate. Israel didn't just attack military targets. It went after government officials. Assassinations, not airstrikes. The goal wasn't to stop nukes. It was to trigger chaos, destabilize the regime, and create space for a coup or collapse. Sound familiar? It should. We've seen this playbook before, in Libya, Syria, Venezuela. Regime change masked as counterproliferation, and Israel is running point with U.S. backing. Then came the U.S. bombing, hitting 3 key nuclear sites, Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordo. But Sachs makes a chilling observation. It didn't change anything in terms of Iran's capacity to produce atomic bombs, but it made everything far more dangerous. Why? Because now, no inspections are taking place. Iran knows it was targeted for regime change. The U.S. is fully exposed as an enemy. Europe has shown itself to be nothing more than a vassal state. And that changes everything. Because when a country believes it's under existential threat and sees the West moving to overthrow its government, it rethinks its options. Fast. Sachs warns, this does not make the situation safer today than last week. It makes everything far more reckless and dangerous. And he's right. By attacking Iran directly, even if those attacks failed, the U.S. and Israel crossed a red line. They show their hand. And now, Iran must ask itself, can we trust diplomacy? Should we pursue nuclear weapons for deterrence? Will any future deal be honored? The answer? Probably not. Because once you've been targeted for assassination, trust is gone. And without trust, diplomacy dies. And when diplomacy dies, war becomes inevitable. What we're witnessing isn't just another round of Middle East violence. It's a tectonic shift in global power dynamics. Iran has been pushed further into the arms of Russia, China, the global South, and for good reason. They see that the U.S. cannot be trusted. Europe will not stand up for peace. Only nations outside the Western orbit offer real security. And that means the multipolar world is accelerating. Not because anyone planned it, but because the West forced it. In conclusion, Dr. Jeffrey Sachs gives us a rare and unfiltered look at the real forces shaping the Iran crisis. Not nuclear ambitions, not terrorism, but assassination plots, regime change operations, and Western overreach. And the result? A world that is far more dangerous than it was a week ago. Stay tuned for more analysis right here on The Informed Perspective. Until next time, stay informed and think critically. Iran has made it perfectly clear for the past 20 years, and I had discussions today with a senior Iranian diplomat, that they do not want atomic bombs. They don't want the burdens that come with them, and they don't want to make themselves a target for nuclear war. They simply do not want them. However, they also do not want to be overthrown by Israel's murderous government, and that's the real problem. Last week, the Israeli government, a rogue state and arguably the most dangerous on the planet, attempted to assassinate Iran's leadership. Not only the supreme leader, but other high-ranking government officials as well. They succeeded in carrying out several assassinations, but they failed in their broader regime change operation. Then came the U.S. bombing of Iranian sites. In my view, it didn't change anything in terms of Iran's nuclear intentions or capabilities. It had no effect on their ability to produce atomic bombs, or for that matter, to obtain them from others if they chose to. What it did do was make the situation far more dangerous. Why? Because now there are no inspections taking place. The Iranians are fully aware that they were targeted in a deadly regime change operation. They know the United States was involved. They also understand that the European countries are essentially vassal states of the U.S., unwilling to speak out on their own. So Iran knows it was the target of assassination and regime change. That doesn't make the world safer than it was a week ago. It makes everything more reckless and dangerous.